Hello, everyone. Welcome back to episode 25 of Talkoffamepod podcast. I'm Kylie, and today we have on actor and model Greg Valenti. Thank you so much for coming on, Greg. It's a pleasure speaking with you.
Same here. Thank you so much for having me. It's an honor.
Absolutely. Thanks so much. So, over the last year, we've been stuck in isolation. What is something that you did over the last year that you wouldn't have time to do before?
Uh, there's definitely been a bunch of things. I would say the one thing that's been like one of the most prominent things is I got a puppy. So that's something that I wasn't sure if I was going to do. And then my now wife, we ended up getting married as well. So a lot has happened during the pandemic. We now have a puppy, so it's like our little child a little bit. But Henry's definitely changed our lives. And then and really connecting with a lot of people on an acting perspective from different parts of the world. With my program I'm in Anthony Gibson Studio in Manhattan, and it's been cool. I mean, pandemic's been absolutely terrible. I've lost a lot of people in my family and things like that, and I was personally affected having it. But it's been a time where I've been able to connect with other people that I never would have had the opportunity to connect with because we did meet virtually, and to have that connection is kind of what pulled me through.
Oh, absolutely. Congratulations on your marriage. And like the pandemic has been crazy, being stuck at home, not doing things we used to, and doing everything that we used to doing on everyday lives. And it's different for so many people. Like when it first started, I didn't know what to do myself at first. I'm like, I can't do anything. I'm stuck at home. I can't see people. I can't do anything. I was like, what am I going to do with myself? I'm going to be stuck in the house, watch TV. That's really the only thing I can do. That's the reason why I started this podcast is basically I had nothing to do. And I was like, oh, I need to start doing something. Not lay down watching TV, just do nothing. Because I just hate doing nothing. I like, I never knew what to do myself. But like, what type of, like you said before, you got a puppy. What kind of puppy did you get? Because dogs and stuff like that.
So we got a Maltipoo, and we actually picked him up in Pennsylvania. And we got him from a breeder, and he's tiny. He's like, I would say now he's 6 pounds. He's maybe like a foot long. So he's really tiny pup, but he has definitely like changed our lives for the better. And kind of, I guess, a trial run before, we try to have kids and stuff like that.
Oh, absolutely. I love it. Like I have 3 dogs of my own, so they can keep you
nice.
every single day and driving. Well, sometimes insane for sure. That's how I drive myself insane for sure.
Absolutely. Yeah. They can definitely make you a little crazy, but at the end of the day, that unconditional love is something that, is so special. And like coming home after work or something like that, or a long day, and he's just there, to greet you at the door. It's a blessing. It really, really is.
Oh, for sure. Since like we had like a lot of time over the last year, did you like binge like any movies or shows while being stuck at home, or like you had like a lot of time being at home?
Yeah. Oh my gosh. I mean, Breaking Bad is a show that really pops up because I've never seen it before, and people are like, "Oh, you're crazy. You need to watch it." And so in the beginning of the pandemic, binge watched the whole thing, and I was hooked. That show was amazing. Started The Sopranos, watched Seinfeld again, Entourage again. So definitely a lot of shows, and then even new ones like The Boys on Amazon, The Witcher on Netflix, and Big Mouth with Nick Kroll. So there's been such a variation. There's been a lot of time, obviously, to watch them. But yeah, I'm a big movie and TV guy for sure.
Oh, for sure. So am I. Like I often say to my friends and family that I'm often like a movie TV freak for sure. Like I watch anything. Like first thing I see, I'm like, I'm gonna watch this for sure. Like I'm a big Grey's Anatomy aholic for sure. I'm a big Grey's Anatomy fan. I started watching it in like a couple months ago in August. I started watching it because my cousin and my friend they're like, Kylie, you need to watch this. Like you only watch one season, which was season 11. You're like, Kylie, you need to watch this. Then my whole family got COVID in August of this year. So I was like, since we're stuck at home, we'll actually just watch it. Like I'm bored. I have to be stuck in a room this whole time. I have nothing to do. So I was like, oh, I just watched Grey's Anatomy. And so I watched it for the first time. I was like, I immediately became hooked. So I was like, thank you God for letting me this show. Because if it was for Grey's Anatomy, I'd be like, I'll be bored out of my mind. I would probably break out of this house and leave and go whatever. I was like, I can't leave this house. It got boring after a while, but if it wasn't for Grey's Anatomy, I'd be like going insane for sure.
Yeah, and I know like Grey's Anatomy's been on for over 20 seasons. Like I know it's been a lot. It's been an ongoing process for a long time. There's a ton of seasons. I personally haven't watched a lot of it. I've seen episodes here and there, but my acting coach, actually Coach Ellen Pompeo, when she
Oh,
first
really?
started, yeah, when she first started as an actress, before she booked Grey's Anatomy, he was coaching her. And then, so he talks about that a lot about, when you're pursuing your dream, there are times where, things feel like it's not going to work out. And, oftentimes when we feel like we're about to give up, the industry gives us something, God provides, and they give you something like, hey, come back. There's something's going to be there for you. And then that happened for her. So it was really, it's part of his, the connections he has with people that have been successful has been really cool to see. And there's a lot of stories of people, that, yeah, they were like, I was about to quit and then I booked this. And then it kind of just, snowballed into everything else. And then they made a career.
Oh, for sure. Like as you like mentioned Ellen Pompeo, people that know me know how much I love Ellen Pompeo. Ellen Pompeo, what can I say about Ellen? She's a queen and a icon in many ways for sure. And like people that know me, she's really the reason why I do this for sure. She's my idol and like she's the reason why I'm still here today. If it wasn't for her, I wouldn't be here. And so like I dealt with anxiety and depression ever since I was
Mm.
a baby. Like I had it my whole life. I was very shy. I was like I like whoever I didn't know, they'd come up to me and be like, "Hey, what's your name?" I'll be like, I don't want to talk to you. I would just run back and
Yeah.
like I earlier this year I got medication for it. I got my anxiety because last year during the pandemic it got so bad I had to get medication for it. And so I just remember being so hard on myself. I had nothing to do. I felt like I was alone. I felt like I was like not wanted. I wanted to give up. And so when I started watching Grey's Anatomy, Ellen Pompeo, she's the first person I clicked. I was like, she is amazing. I love her. And so I started researching about her and stuff, and I was like, damn, like she's amazing. I need to do some research, and I was like, she's really amazing. And so like after I watched her movies and her what she does and stuff, I was like, my anxiety, everything went away from her inspiration and stuff. It all went away. And so like she's literally my not hero, but like biggest inspiration. She's really the big like person I'm here today. It's literally my dream to have her on the podcast, and or I'd be on her podcast because like she has
Yeah.
her own podcast of her own. So I'm like, it's been an
Cool.
absolute dream. And I would love to meet her, and like I can't explain. Like she's just amazing in many ways for sure.
Yeah. I mean, one, I'm really, proud of, you being able to talk about your anxiety and talk about your self-care. Because, it's important that I think in society we normalize that a little bit, that, hey, everybody has anxiety. I
Yeah,
have,
for sure.
I have it. And some people, I have family members that have it, and they've gone through the same thing, similar depression and things like that. And it's when you're comfortable enough to talk about it, it makes it a little bit easier, that you can communicate with others and find support and realize like, hey, I'm not the only person with this, that's going through this. And the pandemic really was a time where, you know, essentially if you weren't living with somebody or something like that, you were alone. It was really an isolation period. And that really, I think, impacted a lot of people more than one way, because we don't get that human interaction, you know?
Yeah.
And I'm also actually a middle school science teacher. That's my day job. But so I lost that interaction with my students all the time. I was with them every single day. Then all of a sudden school closed. And I know that they also went through a lot now having returned to school, and I see the impact of it now. Trying to get them to be, go through just the normal routine of what school is like, and I see them struggle. So I feel so much sincerity towards, your age group, because you guys are such a developmental part of your life. And to go through something like this makes it, more challenging. Not that, it's an obstacle that cannot be passed, but it just adds onto that layer of, middle school, high school, and all the drama that comes with that, because there's a ton of drama that comes with that and the growing pains. But I give you so much credit for being able to, one, find an outlet to get yourself, out there, and also speak with people and make those connections. And then two, again, like I said, to be, so confident to be able to talk about your vulnerabilities, because that is something that even adults can't do. So, really, really, really proud. Really, really nice.
Oh, thank you. It means a lot. Like during this whole pandemic, it's been hard for basically anybody. They can't be social. They can't do what they used to do. And so like it was basically hard for everyone. Now it's like, and like the pandemic has like it's good and it's bad. Like good things could happen during the pandemic. It has for sure for me for the podcast. But like there's a lot of things that like basically for mental health is the biggest struggle for sure. And basically happened to me. It was horrible for me with bullying and so many other things. But if it wasn't for Gina Davis, Hugh Jackman, Patrick Dempsey, and Ellen Pompeo, I wouldn't be here if it wasn't for their inspiration. Like they made like the biggest impact on me. Like I can't explain. Like they did me so much. And if I like all of them had touched me in every single way, I wouldn't be here if it wasn't for them. But they're just amazing, and like they're all my dream to have on. Like they're like it's all my dream to have them on. But like pandemic has been so hard, and I just hope it ends soon. We can go back to normal, and like, everyone struggles with anxiety and depression, even if it's a little bit. You don't know what they're going through. In this podcast, I try to be open as much as possible, so I can. To help people know that they're not alone, and that there has someone that goes through the same thing as them, and that they're not alone. There's people like them. And so like it's just this whole it's almost like 2 years from the pandemic. It's just been insane for sure. I just hope it's ending soon so we can go back to living our life and doing other things for sure.
100%. I couldn't agree more.
Oh, for sure. So as you like kind of mentioned before, you were a middle school science teacher, right?
Yeah.
How do you want to do that? Like, how do you want to be a teacher?
Well, actually, it's kind of it's a long story, but I'll cut it short. I went to school for physical therapy first, and I was doing like I did my prereqs for it. So they said, "Oh, you can switch your major." I didn't want to start college all over again. I wanted my credits to count. And I said, what degree can I do? And education was one of them. So I said, all right, I'll do that, and at the time I was playing college baseball. So I really wanted to be a professional baseball player. That didn't work out. But I was coaching after I graduated college, and I was like a coach and a private trainer. And I kind of just started subbing in a school. Then while I was subbing in the school, they offered me like a teacher assistant job. Then while I was doing that, they offered me a leave replacement. While I was doing that, they offered me a permanent job as a teacher. So kind of just happened. It was kind of just about timing. And it ended up working out, which was great. And it's been really nice, to go through that. And, something that I never thought I would do, even though I was getting a degree for it. But it's been fun. And I love working with kids. And because I feel like, they're filled with so many, acting is kind of like being a kid. So I relate to them so much more, I feel like, sometimes than adults, because, they have dreams, and, they don't worry about, hey, if this doesn't work out or this doesn't work out. It's like, I'm going to do this or I'm going to be this. And, they have so much hope. And I love that. And they bring the compassion into lives. And, they are inspiring in so many cases, and fact, and when they do things that they don't even think they can achieve, and you see that, you're like, oh man, like, this is like what you do teaching for,
Yeah, for sure, for sure. Like, people always think like, oh, I can't do this, I can't do that. They always think like, I can't get this, my dream come true, I can't do this. I've done that. Like, I always thought that in so many ways. Like for instance, like if I want somebody so badly on the podcast, I'm like, I keep reaching out every couple of weeks. I'm messaging them 24/7. I'm like, can you please come on the podcast, please? Or just email their agents or something, or like people like, or like people just like the manager or something like that. Like, can you help me out and get, let's say Ellen Pompeo on or Patrick Dempsey or the people I said before. I'm like, and you're like, either ignore it or be like, oh, sorry, we have to decline. I'm like, are you kidding me, man? Like, this is not my dream. My dream's not gonna come true if they're gonna keep saying no. And so, like, I always thought like my dream will never come true if they keep saying no. I'm just trying to keep working on it. But there's always been times where I'm like, your dream will never come true if you never make it happen. So that's why I really go for, like, people always say like, don't go for your dream, it's not worth it, but you should go for your dream for sure, because you don't know where it will take you. You don't know where it will like be good for you. It might be something good might come out of it. So it's always, I encourage everyone to go for their dream for sure.
Yeah, and you keep knocking on that door, like you were saying, you keep asking, you keep pushing for it, because you knock on so many doors, one of them is eventually going to open. And, when it comes to your dream, I always say the saying is like, oh, good things come to those that wait. I kind of believe good things come to those that hustle. You have to also take action to make your dream come true. This is not just going to happen. In a perfect world, yes, well, everybody's dreams would come true, and it would just happen like that. But you really need to go out and get it. To a certain extent, you have to put that extra effort in to make it happen. So I applaud you for doing that. So keep knocking on those doors. It's going to happen.
Thank you, man. It means so much. And like, as I kind of mentioned before, you are an actor and model. How did you get into that?
So when I first graduated college, I had done a short film, really short film, just like a small minor role, like supporting role, when I was in college. And I never really had the chance to pursue acting in college because I had a scholarship for baseball. And I took 2 classes. One was like a theater class, one was an on-camera film class. And I really enjoyed it. And when I was younger, when I was in high school, I ended up making like short films and movies with my friends. And we had a blast doing it. But I never thought of acting as like a job. I was just like, oh, like that, it was just fun. And nothing that I ever thought like, oh, this is what I want to do as I get older. But after college, it was about a year after, it was the first summer after teaching, I said, you know what, I'm going to start with background work in the city with central casting and just see how it is to be like on a set, professional shows and stuff like that. And after doing my stuff with them, the couple of shoots and stuff like that, I started getting calls to just be background in this. And the more I did it, the more I definitely learned on set, because I didn't know really much of anything when I first started. And then I had my first 4 things, 3 of the 4 were union work for background. So I was SAG eligible. I did not get my SAG card right away because people like, then you can't do non-union work. So they said, just hold off. So I was like, all right. And I took a class. I'm at Nassau Community College, actually, in Long Island. And while I was there, I was partnered with this woman, another actress, and we did a scene together. And she reached out to me. She was like, hey, I spoke to my agent about you, and they would love to meet you. I was like, all right. And so we kind of met a couple of times, talked about a couple of different things about my experience, and what my goals were and what their goals were and how it matched, if it matched or not. And I've been signed with now Long Island Models and Talent for, I would say, maybe 4 years. I believe it's 4 years now. And Brianna Lombardo's the president of the company who signed me. And I've been with her since then for commercial and print modeling. So it kind of just, again, timing. It was just like out of nowhere, it kind of formed into that. And but it was just by pursuing something I was interested in, you know, taking that step to say, hey, let's try this. And something else came out of it. So you really just don't know where you're going to meet people and make those connections.
Oh, for sure, for sure. So you're like you like mentioned before, you are working with an acting coach. Is it Anthony Ebison, or I think that's how you say the last name, Anthony?
Yeah, Anthony Apeson.
Yeah.
So I auditioned for him, and I heard about him from one of my older brother's friends, Cass Dillon, who's an actor and a musician. And he had told me about Anthony Apeson. I would say back in 2017, he told me, when I was first like getting somewhat interested in acting, like really thinking about it. And I looked him up and I was like, wow, I cannot audition for this guy. I was like, he's taught so many like successful actors. I said, by no means am I ready. So I took a class in this city with Chris Scott, who's another acting coach. And it was really to help me prepare to audition for Anthony Ibsen's class, because I said I want to take a year to like kind of like see if I can really do this. And I auditioned for Anthony. And after that, he spoke to me 2 days later and asked if I wanted to be in the program. So I guess the audition must have went well. And so I've been with him now since 2019. So it actually just passed my 2-year mark last month, October 2019.
Oh, that's amazing. Love it. Like, what is it like for you to get to work with them, since you work with so many like big actors in the industry?
Honestly, it's been such a blessing, because it's really strange, but also it's not at the same time. When I'm in class, I have so much fun. It almost feels like a release, like almost like a therapy session, because, you know, we have so many things going on in our lives. And, you know, I do multiple jobs outside of, you know, pursuing acting and modeling, that doing his class allows me to, you know, really just focus, you know, for those 2 hours when I'm there. Right now we're virtual, but when I was there in person, everything else kind of shuts off and you're just in the room on the stage, you know, and you get to just be very present. And being in his class, I've learned so much about acting, you know, living the experience of the character. I've learned so much from my classmates. You know, my classmates have been such a huge part of my development as well, besides Anthony helping, because they're very generous. And if we're reading together and they're being my reader for my audition or for a scene or doing a scene together, or, you know, who just text each other to see if, like, you know, hey, how you doing, to check up on each other and support each other, promote each other's stuff online. And really to be kind of like, you know, the extra backbone for each other. And A-Money is what we call him, but Anthony Ibsen, A-Money, he's just a special person. You know, he had Stella Adler as a teacher. He had Lee Strasberg as a teacher. He had some of Stanislavski's pupils as teachers. So he's an older gentleman. I'm not going to say his age because I don't know if he's going to see that, but he is an older gentleman who is an actor as well. And, you know, he has been around the people that we study acting on. Those were his teachers. So he's a combo of everybody. And he really is like such a shaman of acting. And, you know, it's been really cool to see his influence on my colleagues and people that I've never actually met, but I know have trained with him, to see the philosophy. And there's no recipe, whatever works, you know, because some different things work for each actor, but and even for different roles. But it's cool to see that in action in the movies that people have booked, in the shows that people have booked, in the plays that people have booked. To see them come alive and to see that really, you know, come to fruition is going to be really, really cool.
Oh, for sure, for sure. So do you have anyone that you look up to in the industry as an actor or a model, as we're kind of talking about acting coaches and that? Like, do you have anyone that you look up to?
Yes. I would say this guy is kind of like my hero. I have like a ton of stuff down here. I have two. One of them is actually somebody that you also love. The first one is Harrison Ford. I absolutely love Harrison Ford. If I can meet somebody, that would be one of the people I 100% would love to work with and meet. He kind of like, when I was a kid, I would watch Indiana Jones and Star Wars almost every single weekend. We would go to Blockbuster at the time, and what we would rent, Star Wars or Indiana Jones. Library, Star Wars, Indiana Jones. My poor parents have seen that movie a million times because I've made them watch it. But he's really a big inspiration for me. And Hugh Jackman. I absolutely love Hugh Jackman. I have a poster of Hugh Jackman right over there from when he did the world tour. I'd seen in one of your other podcasts that you'd went, which is amazing. And he is like a Renaissance man, because he has done dramatic, he has done comedy, romance. He's been on. He could sing, he could dance. He's been in theater, and now he's doing The Music Man in Manhattan that's coming out. He is the absolute man. And so many people that I know that have met him and worked with him said that he's such a sweetheart in person, which, sometimes our heroes that we look up to aren't always what they turn out to be, but I'm very happy to hear. I've never met him personally, but I'm very happy to hear that he really is that good of a person.
Oh, for sure. I actually got to see him on tour in Philadelphia in 2019. That's how I became kind of obsessed, because I knew him from The Greatest Showman. So I was like, oh, let's go. I was like, hey, Mom, can we maybe go see you in concert? I'd like to go see him. And he's like, oh, yeah, sure, whatever you want. And so, when I saw him, it was really, it was actually my very first concert. I've never been to any concert. So it's my first. So I was like, once after the show was over, I was so sad. I had to leave. I was like, this is amazing. He's amazing. And from what I hear, he's such a kind man. No one can act kind of like he does. He's these a lot of actors turn out to be kind of cocky, not as good as they are, as big celebrities. And it's always good to know he's a very sweet man in real life, sweet guy, because there's a lot of people that are nice and really want to get to know you like he does. So he's if you know me, I have actually have posters in my room. Actually, I posters. I have a blanket, Hugh Jackman blanket behind me. He's someone, he's my hero for sure. Anytime, sometimes I remember begging my parents to sit down with me and watch a Hugh movie last year when he came out with Bad Education last year. I was like, Mom, Dad, stay down. I don't care what you have going on. Cancel it. You're staying down with me right now, so I don't care. It's just something I can't explain. People know how much I love and adore him. He means a lot to me, more than I can really explain. He's really someone that I would love to meet for sure. He's one of people, my top 3 I would love to meet. And now I'm seeing him in The Music Man actually sometime when it comes out. But I'm just so excited. Things are starting to open up, and it's my dream for sure to meet him for sure.
Yeah, when it opens up, go see it, and then wait for after the show when they walk out. Most actors, when they do the shows in Broadway, I don't know if you've seen any shows on Broadway or not, but they come out, and most of them are very nice when they come out. They'll sign and stuff like that for you, and it might be a perfect opportunity to get them in person. Say, hey, I have this podcast. If you ever want to come on, there could possibly be something that works out too.
Oh, for sure. I always I'm supposed to go sometime, but I'm not sure because of the vaccine mandates and all those going on. Depending on COVID, it depends on everything going on. And I was always the person that's always when I meet celebrity. I met Joey McIntyre from New Kids on the Block a couple months ago at a baseball game. But people are all asking me why did you not ask me to be on the podcast? Because I didn't. It was a picture and go. So it was 2 seconds. I'm I'm the person that doesn't like to ask for favors. I never like to ask for favors. If I want to ask for a favor, I just kind of put myself into it. I'll be say something and try to get them to do it for me. I'm that person that never likes to ask for favors for sure.
It's tough too sometimes, because you don't want to feel like you're trying to get something, it's just I know that a lot of people get asked to do a lot of different things, but it's sometimes because I get like that when I would meet athletes I like going to a lot of autograph signings. But if I see them in person, it's not a signing. I do feel like, oh man, I don't want to ask them. I do want a picture, but I don't want to really ask for a lot more because I know that they get a ton of requests all the time. And you also want to have that personal experience, where if it's the first time you're meeting them, you want to see it, just have that moment to really enjoy the experience and be present too.
Yeah, for sure. Like if it's if I ever meet you in person, I just don't know how I'm gonna react for sure. Well, like because I'm a massive. He's like my hero, my main hero, and so like I probably would have my mom speak for me, or whoever is with me, have someone speak for me because I probably won't be able to speak. I'll be like, "That's he talking in front of me," but he's such a major star in the industry. So I'm like, how is he right here right now? Like, how is this possible?
Is this real life? No, I know.
Yeah, that must be a kind of starstruck. And my friends are always like, how are you gonna deal with it if you go see someone you love and adore? How are you gonna deal with that? I'm like, well, you have to wait and see. I'll try to keep it professional in many ways. I'll try, but like you may never know until it actually happens. So
Yeah, no, for sure. I get that. 100%.
yeah. Do you have if you weren't a actor and model, what would you be?
Ooh, good question. Uh, hmm. As a kid, I always wanted to be an astronaut. I think that would be really cool, to be in space and to really go see, Earth from outer space, but also to be able to maybe in the future travel to other planets. I don't know if I would want that right now, just because I have people on Earth. So God forbid anything happened, I would, if I died or something like that, or, God forbid something happened, then I wasn't here. Because I know how hard it is for people when they don't live near their family. My brother lives in Los Angeles, so I know that it's hard not being around your family very often and only seeing them a couple of times a year. So I know that's difficult. But I think it would probably be, one of my other dreams is being a professional baseball player. That was something I was always, as a kid, growing up, and then even sometimes as an adult, I'm like, oh man, like should I go try and play somewhere right now? But I'm like, I don't know if I could do that lifestyle anymore, to be honest. But that would be really cool to be on a stage like that, and being able to perform at that level would probably be one of my, my dream if I could choose anything. Probably that, yeah.
Yeah, like if you could play for any like MLB team, what would you be if you're so kind of pursuing baseball?
So huge Yankees fan. Around here, I have like seats from the old stadium and stuff like that. I have a ton of signed memorabilia. I'm a huge. I grew up, in the '90s and the later '90s. I was really a kid in the '90s, but '90s and 2000s. And so the Yankees were the team growing up for me as a kid. You had Derek Jeter, Mariano Rivera, Andy Pettitte, Posada, Bernie Williams, Paul O'Neill, and they were awesome. They always won, which is great. I'm from New York, which is great. But my dad's a huge Yankee fan, and I think that was instilled from him as well. And so I think it would be them, just because there's something special about playing for the Yankees, and so many players have said that like, even if they played for the Yankees for a year, they said that it was just a special experience. So I think I would definitely want to have that experience. It would be amazing.
Yeah, absolutely. Like I'm not sure, like I'm not like a Yankee fan, but I do like Yankees. My family's big Phillies fans, but I'm not fan though because like they're not my team. But I'm a Dodgers fan, a big, huge Dodgers fan. Like, Scherzer, all those guys. Like I became I never had like a favorite baseball team. I was kind of rooted for the Phillies since my family was a huge Phillies fan. Then Chase Utley, he's really made me fall in love with the game. He made me become a Dodger fan. And people always say you're a bandwagon. I'm like, how am I a bandwagon if I wasn't a baseball fan before? How am I a bandwagon? So like. Yeah. And so like Chase Utley like is like amazing person, even though much New York Mets hate him for the slide he go. And it's something And so like that was a kind of a crazy moment, but like it's over with how much New York hates Chase Utley for what he did. And so like it's always like gets me a little mad they do still do that even though it's a couple years ago, but like I get why they did that for sure, because they always hated him for how much he hit against home runs, how much he did when he played for the Phillies when he was kind of starting out. So I'm like, oh, I get it now. At first I did.
Yeah.
I was like, why are they hating on him for no reason? Then I did research. I'm like, oh, I see now what they hate him for, I guess.
He was yeah, people would call him the Mets killer. Like, there's certain athletes that just play great against certain teams. And Utley was a guy, I remember watching him all the time when they would play the Mets, and I was like, man, like he, whatever reason, would just play, because he was always a great player, but he was always like brought it even more whenever they played the Mets. And because there was that span, the Mets were really good in the mid 2000s, 2006, 2007, around there. And I remember Met fans were not happy when Utley came to the plate at all. I get it.
Yeah, for sure. Like Utley is like I can't explain how much I love Utley. He's my all-time favorite player. He's the reason why I love the game. And I actually met him in 2019. I'm obsessed with Chase Utley. Like he's one of my idols. And like I met him in 2019 at his retirement ceremony. I got tickets for it since my parents like knew how much it meant to me to go. So I was like, oh, I'll go for whatever. I would love to go and see Chase. So, and like I was like kind of, and we went to Suits where he was sitting like with family. And I was freaking out that I was right by Chase Utley, my favorite player of all time. And the guy was like my idol. I just couldn't believe it. And so when he was walking out to leave with his family, I was with my father. And so when he was walking to leave, I put out my hand and I was like shaking. I was like, Dad, Chase Utley's right there. And so he shook my hand and he's like, hi. And I was like, I didn't hear him say hi, but that's what my dad heard him say. And he shook my hand. I was like, no flipping way. He shook my hand. And so I just started crying. I was a mess. I was like, I can't believe Chase Utley shook my hand. I was in shock. I couldn't sleep that night. I just couldn't believe it that I shook his hand and met him. I was like, it was an absolute like dream come true. I think about that day so much. I just can't believe it actually happened for sure.
That's amazing. It's such a cool story when you get to meet your idols. You always hope it's a good experience. I had a similar experience with Paul O'Neill. He was my favorite player. He played for the Yankees. And when I met him a couple of years ago. And same deal, I was kind of like, oh my gosh, it's Paul O'Neill. And like I'm in my 20s and I told my parents, yo, I'm going to meet Paul O'Neill. You guys have to come. Because like they know how much I was like, I don't care. Like I'm not like a kid. I was like, you guys got to come. And the four of us sat there and we talked for a couple of minutes actually when I met him. And he was such like a sweet person. I was like, oh, thank God, like nice guy, So it's really cool that it was the same way, because they're just people, I know they get so much things from the media of like, like again, like Mets killer and stuff like that. But at the end of the day, they're people, and most people generally are really nice,
Yeah,
and I'm glad you had a good experience.
Yeah, because a lot of athletes are very cocky, and Chase Utley's kind of cocky on the field as well. He's very cocky on the field, and I kind of thought like, oh, is he going to be cocky off of the field? I kind of thought like, is he going to be cocky? And so like, and then like every time Chase Utley would go to Philly Stadium for a game, I'll be like, Dad, we're going to this game. I don't care. I want to be Chase Utley. I wouldn't care. And so like I was just like, I still trying to meet him. Like I didn't really have a chance to talk to him. I didn't say any word because I didn't realize he said hi to me. So I'm like, God, I want to meet him again. So I can actually say something to him. Now I'd be like, okay, yeah, I shook his hand, but at least I shook his hand. That's all I cared about. Like it's just kind of like a big moment. And Justin Turner, he plays for the Dodgers. He's my other all-time favorite player. I met him last year at Dodger Fan Fest last year. And all I can say is what a guy for sure. He's the sweetest person ever. And like I am a massive fan of him. Like he's one of my idols. like chases, and like I went up to him. I was shaking so bad. I was like, what am I doing with myself? And so I went up to him. He was like, hi, what's your name? We were talking for like 10 minutes. And he was like, oh, wants to know about my life, what I do, where am I from, like, and all that stuff. I was like in shock. I was like, I can't believe I'm talking to Justin Turner, because he's like a veteran in an MLB. And like, I was like, I can't believe it. And so I walked out of the room. I remember I was sobbing, crying. I was like, I can't believe I talked to my favorite player. I just can't believe it. And so I was like in very shock, and I was like, couldn't believe it. And I heard so many things about him being a nice guy, kind guy. And I just remember being like so shocked. I was like, oh my God, how is it possible right now, me and Justin Turner? Like, he's like one of the best players right now. And so he's really, like, he's just amazing, all I can say, for sure.
That's awesome. Yeah, former Met too.
Yeah, former Met. Yeah, I forgot. I was about to say that, former Met. Yeah, he played there before he went to the Dodgers. I think I got like traded or something. I'm not sure.
Yeah, I don't remember, but he's doing well, which is great.
Yeah, so true. So if it could be in any movie or show, what would it be?
Ooh, oh man, this is a tough one. You really had to ask this question. Oh man. Okay, so I would say movie. I don't know if I read that. It could be a couple. I would absolutely love to be like Indiana Jones. Be amazing. Also, I'd love to be James Bond. But I really, really absolutely love Star Wars as a kid. I have a ton of Star Wars stuff in my house. I love Lord of the Rings, but I will say, like, to be in Star Wars, that franchise, and even Marvel. Like, I love the Marvel series and DC. Actually, you know what? I would say Batman. I'm gonna go with Batman because I would love to be Batman. Maybe like Batman Beyond, Terry McGinnis type character. And then for show, I loved Game of Thrones. I absolutely loved it. I was a little disappointed in the last season a little bit, not gonna lie. But Game of Thrones really was a show that like took over my life for a long period of time. Like, I was obsessed with everything and anything Game of Thrones and that whole world. And I really love that I like a lot of fantasy because I think it's an escape from reality. So I think that would probably be, for me, show is definitely Game of Thrones because it allows you to escape and be in this world that is not normal to us.
Oh, for sure. Like Sophie Turner in Game of Thrones, like she's amazing. And like I get often that I look exactly like Sophie Turner. My sister always mentions.
I see it, yeah.
I say every time I say Game of Thrones, my sister and her boyfriend be like, Kylie, you look like Sophie Turner in our show. And like in general, you look exactly like her. I'm like, yeah. I'm like, okay. I sometimes don't see it. I'm like, you think so? Because I feel like I kind of see it but don't see it. But then like the Jonas Brothers came out with the Family Roast on Netflix. The Jonas Brothers Family Roast a couple days ago during the week, and so I watched it, and she was on it. The Jonas Brothers wives were on it. Sophie was on it, and I watched it. She has her orange hair, like Game of Thrones. She has on now. I was thinking to myself like, okay, I think I see it now. With her hair, I think I see it now. But at first I didn't. And she's terrific, Sophie Turner. I love her work. She's amazing. Like, she's an icon for sure in many ways.
Yeah, I definitely see that. Like, you get like a big black fur coat. Like, I'm telling you that you got it. She's such a cool character in Game of Thrones too, because her character really develops, throughout the entire show. When you get a chance and when you can watch it, because I know it is rated mature, it's rated 18, rated R. It's really cool to see her progression from beginning to end of that show. It really is one of the biggest development characters in the entire series.
Oh, for sure. So this past year has been like really tough for everybody since we were in isolation, not doing things as we used to. And what was the hardest part for you about being home every day while isolating from your friends and family, not doing the things you used to?
Yeah, I mean, the beginning was really tough because Emily and I, we bought a house, I would say Emily's my now wife. Um, we bought a house 4 months before the pandemic started, actually. So it was nice to own our house and like be able to do things around the house. But being teachers, like my school closed a little early because somebody in my school had COVID. And so that was like mass hysteria. Nobody knew what was going to happen, if we were exposed or not. And the hardest part was really not seeing my family for a long time, both of our families. We were very strict about like staying home because God forbid we went out, both of our parents are older, and we said, God forbid we go out, even just like pick up something and bring their house, and we go in the house. If we give it to them, somehow we got it, we would feel absolutely terrible. And, my younger brother lives in Brooklyn. My older brother lives in Los Angeles. And that was also tough, not being able to see them. I'm really close with my brothers. We have a really, really strong relationship. And I didn't see my older brother until this past June was the first time I saw him. So almost 2 years, because at the time I hadn't seen him since that Christmas. And then my younger brother, even though he was in Brooklyn, it was a really long time not seeing him, a couple of months. I didn't see my parents for like 3 months. So that was the toughest, was, not being able to have interaction. I was very grateful, to have time with Emily and us get to be able to be together during that time. But it was also really hard to not have that social interaction with anyone and only see our families through screens. And it kind of made me realize, like, people that don't have the opportunity or are always on the move with work, let's say, even before the pandemic happened, are always working abroad and never get to see their family. That's got to be so tough. And I know in this industry that can happen sometimes. So I know that that's something that, God willing, I'm successful that way, that I get the opportunity to do that. But I know that it comes with challenges as well on the home front, that you make sacrifices for everything. And so I think that was really eye-opening. Like, you see who really matters and what really matters in life. And I think that's what kind of the pandemic showed me through all that difficult time.
Oh, for sure. Like that was really the hardest part for me also, is not seeing my family. Most of my family lives in Pennsylvania. And so it was very hard for me to deal with because I was so used to seeing my family. I'm really close to my family. And so I was so used to seeing them often. And once the pandemic hit, I used to call my family out, but like, how are you doing? Are you okay? I was just making I was worrying about them more than myself. These are all older. And so, I was more worried about them than myself, because my family, I wouldn't be here if it wasn't for my family. And so I was kind of focused on them, not focused on myself. And so I was lucky I can see all my brothers and my sister that lives kind of down the road from me. I go visit her during the pandemic. And I have a twin brother as well. I have a twin brother.
Oh, cool.
So me and him kind of did some things around the house, kind of did some things to keep ourselves busy. Me and him were always very, very close growing up. I have a strong relationship. So we always did stuff around the house, did some stuff together to keep ourselves busy. Since he plays baseball as well. So
cool.
Me and him will do something to baseball, and I'll help him play baseball in the yard and stuff. So it all closed down, so he couldn't play baseball. So I'll help him. I have family in Florida as well. So it was very hard not to see them. They'll come in and we couldn't travel. So I wanted to see them as well. And it was very hard. And so I have one of my cousins that lives in Tampa, Florida, my cousin Robert. He's a father to me. He's a father figure to me. And me and him are very close. And what can I say about him? He's a father figure. And it was very hard not to travel down to Florida. And it's kind of a family tradition not to go down to Florida. My family will go down and we usually see them. my cousin Robert and his family and all that, and like it was so hard not to like visit Florida and travel because I'm a very travel-y person, so it was very hard not to travel and do things I love and not to visit Florida and Los Angeles, as I love going down in Los Angeles, so it was very hard to not able to travel and not doing things we used to, for sure.
Yeah, we lost out a little bit. I mean, look, the pandemic in general was such terrible time. So many people have passed away, and people continue to pass away. You know, early on in the pandemic, we lost some family members, and even as it continued, and that was also tough. I know that was tough for a lot of people. So I know that even though I wasn't always able to see my parents and my brothers, and I know that you didn't get to see your family, I think, you know, it's also important just to be grateful that a lot of them are still, the people that are here are still here. And we are going to get the opportunities to see them, which is awesome. But yeah, it definitely was tough for sure.
Yeah,
and
for
I
sure.
know that a lot of people had that experience. Yeah.
Oh yeah, for sure. So the final question for the interview is, what is some advice for younger generations that want to be in the same position as you?
So what I would say is, you know, everybody has, in the words of A Money, you have the universe inside of you. So if you really want something, go and get it. Don't put a limitation on yourself. A lot of people do that. They say, oh, you can't do this, or, oh, you know, what are the chances of that happening? It's like, yeah, if we said that for everything and nobody went for it, then nothing would ever happen. So I think, you know, really go for, you know, shoot your shot, go for it. And even if you get turned away, don't just accept that. You know, don't just accept, you know, it didn't work out this time, it's never going to work out, because something's going to come along. Like you said, you keep knocking on those doors, right? You keep asking, you keep driving forward, and good things are going to happen, because good things happen to good people. And, you know, if you have that mentality of one, manifesting good things, asking the universe for something, and the universe will give it to you. That's something I definitely learned, you know, just asking for certain things, even just out loud by myself. And next thing you know, whether it's that week or a month later or 2 months later, it comes to you. So that, and just being a really good person, you know, having good karma. I think if you put out that positivity, those positive vibes, and also, you know, continue to work on yourself and your relationships with others, things will happen without you even realizing it. And the time that it happens will be the most unexpected. You'll be like, oh, this is exactly what I needed. You know, the universe will provide for you in times where you don't know that you need it, and in times where you really need it and you're on your last string, and it will happen.
Oh, for sure. I totally agree with that. Like this, it takes time. Just don't give up on your dreams. Just don't give up on what you're trying to do, because you'll get there. No longer, it can take 2 years, it can take months. It doesn't matter. You'll get there. So I want to thank you so much for coming on. It means so much. It was such a pleasure speaking with you. It means so much to have you on. I can speak with you for all day, to be honest with you. It was such a great talking to you, and thank you so much for coming on. It means so much.
Thank you so much for having me. I'm looking forward to listening. I'm also looking forward to the other episodes with the other artists, and also seeing your career continue to grow and flourish. So thank you again. Seriously.
Absolutely. Thanks so much. It means so much. We'll speak soon, for sure.
Absolutely. Take care.
You too.